officially invited to join the inner circle of top leaders from all over the country. Listen and learn as these obsessed entrepreneurs reveal the secrets that led to their success. Welcome to the community. Today's episode starts now.
I like my intro. I feel like every time I introduce somebody, I'm always nodding my head at the beginning. It's
I'm like, what's a good one? So thank you, because I had a video. I always shoot it while the intro's going on.
Yeah. Thanks everybody for joining us. Thanks for coming to the community and invited into the inner circle as we just talk to awesome entrepreneurs. And I'm really excited about today because I'm with Gogo Bethke, and I'm trying to figure out how to go down this list. And I literally had to make a list, and I was like, oh my gosh, she has a TV show now. Like, she's starting something that's on Roku. Like, what are you talking about? So Gogo Bethke, she is titled the Queen of Real Estate, the Queen of Social Media. And she's top 3% realtors in all of the nation, top 125 most influential people by Success Magazine. She has Gogopreneur, and also she starts at Your Home TV show, like 9 other companies. Like, I don't know where to start with this. Like, this is we want to talk to obsessed people, and I'm like, I don't know when she sleeps. She has to be obsessed with this, so it's going to be a really fun conversation. But thanks for joining us. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's kind of crazy, right? How life works. Like, I sometimes wonder, people ask me, like, hey, did you think of this, right? And no, I did not at all. Like, it wasn't like I woke up one day and be like, well, I'm going to be the social media queen of real estate when I grow up. I'd like, no, I didn't even know, like, in Romania, we don't have realtors. I mean, we do now, but back in the day when I still lived there, absolutely not. So, no, it was not even an idea. But sometimes life takes you down on paths, right? And if you listen to those little, I like to say, God throws you little pebbles. And if you listen to him, then he doesn't have to break. And I try to listen to the pebbles.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. And I mean, your story is awesome. You're very, very much the first person I've ever met from Transylvania. And I honestly didn't even know that was a real place. I thought it was just all made up, and it was like, but not so. So yeah, I'm like, oh, it's real. So I had to look at the map and be like, oh my gosh, it's actually a real place. So yeah, we were talking about the teeth.
My, what are they called? Fangs?
Your canines? Yeah.
What are they called? The vampires. What do they have?
Fangs, I think.
Fangs. Yeah. So I have them.
Yeah.
So a little bit about me. Born and raised in Transylvania, Romania. I was 21 when I moved to the US. I didn't speak English. I didn't know a single human being. I literally, still to this day, I don't have anyone related to me by blood besides my 2 children that my husband and I created. So when I say I had no sphere and I had no community, like, I had no one. Nobody could even pronounce my real name, right? Like, I have a good old Hungarian name. My parents didn't know I'm going to live in the US. So this Gogo Bethke persona that I created, it really doesn't exist. My real name is György. My last name was Kocsis, right? So György Kocsis would be my real name. And then I met my husband, last name Bethke. Nobody could say György, we can Gogo. So literally, they're talking about building something out of nothing. And that's
I was trying to pronounce, I stalked you and did that. And I was like, okay, cool. That's her real name. Not even going to try it. Wasn't even going to attempt it. And so what made you move? What was the move to move over from Transylvania over to the US? Like, what drew you to the US?
So many different things, right? But really, when Romania was a communist country until 1989, I was 8 years old. I was born in 81. I was 8 years old when they killed Ceausescu, our leader. And my parents thought for some reason that would be a good idea to watch it live on national television when our leader gets shot in the head, and his wife also. So, watched that when I was 8. It was like, well, okay, good. Well, I guess communism's done, right? But I got to live through communism. I remember, like, being in the bathroom and my parents would turn the faucet on just so we don't hear the gunshots. So the water would be running so we don't hear the gunshot. So I had, like, things like that in my childhood, right? And then when communism ended, my dad went and bought a VCR player and a color TV. He had no access to the Western world. Like, imagine living in communism. It's like you live in a shoebox with the lid on. Like, there's no news coming in. There's only what you hear in your own little neck of the woods, right? So finally the Western world opened up, and my dad went and bought a VCR and a player and a TV and came home with 48 Hours by Eddie Murphy. And I thought that, first of all, I've never seen a black person. I didn't know they existed. So that was like, whoa.
So Transylvania, just all white.
All white, yeah. I mean, we have some gypsies. That's like your option of like different color. But it's like white with brown eyes and brown hair, white with blue eyes and blonde hair. Like those are your options, right? And so when I saw him on TV, to me, he seemed so happy. He just was so funny and so happy. And I couldn't say that the people necessarily around me were happy people, right? And I just wanted to, as an 8-year-old, I just wanted to go where this man was at because I thought he was happy because of where he was at, because I wasn't happy where I was at and the people weren't happy where I was. Right? So that was like my first recollection. I'm going to America, but I didn't really know what America was. Like I didn't know Eddie Murphy lived in America, right? Like I was just going where Eddie Murphy was.
Yeah.
You don't mind, right? Come to find out that's America. And then I feel like life works in kind of a funny way in the background, right? Like if you think of something, your internal GPS will do whatever it needs to do to make you that path. So that I was 21 years, so a few years went by, right? And then when I was 21 years old, I was in my second year of college in Hungary, so the country one over. And I was supposed to pass a very solid English exam in my third year, and now I didn't speak a lick of English. So I was like, the easiest and the quickest way to learn language would be to go live with the people who speak it. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go to America and I'm going to learn English and I'm going to go back and pass my, exam. I just never went back. I met my husband in a bar because where else do you meet a good man, right? We got married after 4 months and that was 20 years ago. We have 2 beautiful boys. And then I did some few odd jobs. I stayed home for a little bit when our second child was born. And then my neighbor thought I would make a great realtor, and I listened to her.
Wow. So what were you studying over in Hungary? What were you?
You'll laugh. Agricultural engineering.
I'm sorry, what?
Exactly. So when I realized that I have to check the cow if it's pregnant, which means you have to put your arm up in the cow.
Oh my gosh.
Literally all the way up there, right?
Why did you want to do that? What was the drive? You're like...
And I was like, tapping out.
Yeah. You're like, I should have really looked over like the course on this one.
Small brain. I really should have read the small brain. Well, so Transylvania now belongs to Romania. Here's another little history class for the listeners. So Transylvania used to belong to Hungary. So everybody on the land of Transylvania is Hungarian by nationality, but Transylvania, since 1929, belongs to Romania. So technically, I'm a Hungarian national, but Romanian citizen. So I speak Hungarian. I was raised and born and went to school, did everything in Hungarian, even though I was born in Romania, right? So I learned Romanian as a second language. So when I went to college, Hungary would give college spots for, what are they called, minorities outside of the country. So if there are Hungarian communities outside of Hungary, and then one of the very famous university in Hungary will give minorities a few spots so then Hungarians from outside of the country can come to college in Hungary. So that's what I did. I applied and I got in. And so I got a spot to go to college in Hungary. So that's why I was over in the next country learning in my own language, not in Romanian. So Romanian, I speak it as a second language, and English is my third language. So I speak a couple.
That's awesome. So when you came over here, met your husband, you guys got married after 4 months.
Yeah.
So you knew, like, it was like love at first sight.
Yeah. Moved in after 2, married after 4.
Dang. You beat me. Like I tell everybody, I'm like, I got engaged after 9 months, which is pretty fast over here in the US standards, I would say.
Yeah. On Thursday and married on Monday.
What's that?
We got engaged on a Thursday and then we got married on Monday. And so we had a Monday wedding in a country club.
Why Monday? Just because it was...
Because they had an opening. Because we asked them for Saturday, and of course...
we're doing this. We're doing it.
Next year. Like a Saturday was like next year. We're not freaking waiting for a year. And then he said, how about Sunday? And it's like, well, we're not open Sunday. I'm like, how about Monday? I'm like, well, we have Monday open. Okay, we'll take it.
Did you guys have a big wedding?
70 people from Dwayne's side. No one... Well, I had one friend from me who also was an au pair here. So I came as an au pair to the US. She was also an au pair from my hometown. We actually went to college together, and she was already in Chicago, and that's how it came about.
So when you first moved here, where were you living?
In Michigan, in Brighton. Michigan? My host parents were in Brighton, Michigan, yeah.
How's Michigan? Did you like Michigan? Did you get used to the cold? Is like Transylvania, what's the weather like in Transylvania?
as Michigan. So it wasn't.
Really? So you're like, this is the same.
Yeah.
And then now you live in Florida and you're like, why was I ever in Michigan?
Exactly. Now I have choices, right? And I'm like, hold on a minute. I could live where I'm sunny at 75.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's okay. So let's dive into the real estate. You got your real estate. What was your first year like in real estate?
I made a whooping $16,000. Go me. Go me. So I would pay more in gas and fees, right? I would say a slow learner a little bit. Like I let my ego make some decisions for me. So what I would do today, if I was a brand new agent versus what I actually did, knowing myself, is I would have joined the local team right away. And I would have been at every listing appointment. I would have listened to every call. I would have been a sponge soaking up all of the information. I would have learned everything 6 months to a year, speed up the process of my success, and I would have went out to be an individual rockstar solo agent. Instead, I was like, I am not building anybody a game. I am not working and taking 50% of a commission, all of those things. Well, let me put it this way. 50% of a $10,000 commission is much better than 100% of nothing.
100%. I try to tell the agents that I coach, it's like, you got two options. You can pay to learn, or you can get paid while you learn. And I love that option. So you can't think of it as like, hey, I'm getting 50% taken from me. Like, I'm getting so much knowledge and they're paying me to do this. Like, this is the greatest thing ever. And so I was like, but you can go to college and spend $100K and they'll take it. They'll take your money. And then, after you get done, then you can go figure it out and start trying to pay that off. But I feel like real estate, I feel like we have a lot of agents that I've worked with that they have that ego, whether it's like not taking directions. And I tell them all, I'm like, listen, don't grow a brain until you close like 10 deals. Then you can start growing a brain. And I was like, just find someone who supports you, wants to see you be successful, and is willing to coach you and do everything they say to the T, and don't ask questions. Like, find your Mr. Miyagi, right? Find your Mr. Miyagi and you go, why am I painting this fence? And you just keep doing it. Just keep doing it. And then all of a sudden you're kicking some Cobra Kai butt. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
so
different. So I started out a little rough, right? I made 16,000 my first year. I have doubled my business every single year. So the second year I made, $30,000, right? And then 75, and then 156, and then, so it continue. So it took momentum, but it took years, right? It took some time to get the momentum. And I wish I would have speeded up that time, right? Like hindsight is 2020. But other than that, I was a little bit of not listening what everybody else said too. So I want to look at both sides, right? Like, I do believe that don't give a road if it's already paid, right? Like, just go copy and paste into your business. But what I decided to do, which was social media marketing, because I didn't know anyone and I need to find strangers online, right? It didn't really exist then yet. Right. So when I created my first Facebook business page, nobody else had a Facebook business page. Right. And so by doing my business online, everybody was pretty much looking at me like, something's wrong with me. This is never going to work. Like, I have a third eye. Like, you know what I mean? So I also want to emphasize too, I'm not saying don't copy and paste out of other people, but if you haven't got feeling that you're supposed to be doing something, you better listen to that calling. Right? Because like, you could be missing out on the calling of your life. Even though 99% of the people are not going to understand what you are doing and why, that doesn't mean that God didn't mean it for you to be the first one to do it.
Yes. Oh, that's so true. I mean, and that's you got to follow your heart. You got to be able to do that. And I think, so what was the turning point for you though? Like, what was that? I mean, you do so much. Like, was there something that you're just like, where something clicked? Like, and you're like, I'm going all in on this, or with that thing where you just felt like you got it? Was there any moment in your life where, your real estate career that you kind of can point to?
No, I just followed my gut. I really can't say it in any other way. It's because if you look at it, the proof wasn't in the pudding. In the first year, I made $16,000, right? So I should have just given up right there and started cold calling, go buying Zillow leads. But I just knew that is my calling, right? Like, I knew that's it. That's what I'm supposed to be doing, because it felt so right every time I did it, right? And sometimes, like, you can grow you grow the seed and then you sit there and you water it and the sun's shining and all the right conditions and you're like wondering why the heck the seed is not growing. It's going to require time. It's not instant gratification. There's still a huge oak that's going to come out of that little seed. You just have to give it some time. So I think sometimes people give up too early. They don't listen to their gut feelings, right? They go against what that internal nagging. There's a reason why it's there, guys, right? And that's your inner God telling you what you're supposed to be doing, and you're not doing it.
I think that's the theme of just talking to so many entrepreneurs that are, that are just crushing it out there, and they're obsessed with what they, but it's honestly, we always say it's like the mundane task. Like you just keep going and not giving up. And that instant gratification is definitely a killer. It's not going to be instant. Like anything that you want from instant gratification is definitely not going to be worth it. Because then everyone would do it. But it's one of those things that you just keep going and going and going. And so I love that. I honestly love it more that there isn't that thing where you're like, oh yeah, someone said this, and then all of a sudden my business changed. Like, because that's not what it's like. Like it never is. It's always about like, well, what happened between year 4? Like everything just clicked. I'm like, no, it doesn't work that way. It's always about like slow every year I doubled. And if you did that, like that compound interest effect of like, it'll never end. And so I feel like I'm looking through my list and I'm like, yeah, like she was like, okay, well, I'm going to do this. And then I'm going to do this the next year. And I'm going to do this the next year. And then all of a sudden she's got this whole thing. She's like, so did she just decide to do all of this at the same time? No, she didn't.
You can never compare your chapter 1 to someone's chapter 13.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
There's a lot of chapters and a lot of knowledge that happened in those other chapters to get to where you are today.
Mm-hmm. So what are you working on right now? What's like when did you start your home TV? When did you start that? What's going on with that? Because that was super interesting. I wanted to talk to you.
So 2 years ago, Your Home TV, that's a brand new network. It didn't even exist then. It was just in the making. Right, they reached out to me that they're starting a new network. It's going to be a free streaming television, and they would like to, if I had a TV show, I'm like, well, they would like to have my TV show on there. I'm like, well, I don't have a TV show. I'd like to be out there, but I don't have a TV show. So I was like, So I'm like, I guess I'm creating a TV show. What do I know about TV shows? Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
So then I was like, okay, well, I guess I need an editor. I need a videographer. I guess I need a title, like a brand. Oh, but if I get a brand, then I should probably trademark it. And then how do you trademark something? And so it's just like it snowballs, right?
Yeah.
So say I own the trademark Gogopreneur. That's a TV show on Your Home TV. I was the first TV show on the network. And
you're the first?
Yeah, I was the first TV show on the network.
That's awesome.
And then they have, so we together, so there's a bunch of different TV shows on the network, right? So together in our first year, which was not a full year, I think we started in April or May, we did 36 million views in the first, 8 months or so. And then it's growing. And it's, each TV show gets different views based on, what the TV show is about. And then I had a radio show reach out to me that they want to have me on their live radio. And about that, I don't have a audio show. I have a visual show, right? Yeah. I was like, okay, well, I would love to be on radio, but I absolutely don't have any more time left in my life. So I said, okay, then what I need to, not in my life, I hope I just, let me let's say that. Yeah. Okay, I have a lot of time left in my life.
Lord.
Please, Lord. But just a daily, right, of what I need to put into work, because I am no longer willing to take time away from family and life, right? So the time that I assign to what I call work, it has to fit into that period. And if it doesn't fit into that period, I'm not doing it. I'm not taking any time away from life and family. So since I figured out there is no more time, right, then I can create more, right? Yeah. But okay, then we need to kill multiple birds with one stone. So then now I'm turning my TV show into an interview style, kind of like this, where I get to interview entrepreneurs. So now it can be visual for the TV, or in a podcast. And so I'm also going to turn Gogopreneur into a podcast, which then each episode will go over to the radio station that I was asked to be a part of, and going to go live on there. So we are killing 3 birds with one stone. So now I'm going to learn how to be on radio, how to be on all the podcasts, and how to have a TV show at the same time. So it's one stone, what does it say? 1 stone, 3 birds. Yeah. And I'm also working on a mortgage side of things. So in the mortgage industry, it is allowed now for realtors to be dual licensed, to be a loan officer and a mortgage lender. So I'm bringing that to our organization. You're more than happy to message me later if you're interested. I'm working on a lighter version of my bootcamp, and working on what is the other big thing? In fractionalized real estate investing. So these are the three new big projects that I'm going to be assigning my time to, and of course, continuing doing everything else that we are doing. The team growing and supporting the Team Gogo organization. There's 1,300 of us now, 1,340 I think as of today, and just
What's your front line look like right now?
100 in my front line and 1,340 overall.
Dang. What's the span of time? When did you start really attracting agents? I say attracting because I don't want to say recruiting because that's not what you do.
I haven't called a single agent. They call me or they plug themselves into my calendar, to be honest. And that's what I teach, right? That's how you said you bought the bootcamp. So we kind of doing two things. So my husband has his own front line as well. So building two different organizations within the company. And then what was your question?
How long, like when did you start like really doing the attracting of agents and you were like, hey, I'm gonna focus on this or not focus, but put this as a part of my business?
So I joined EXP with that reason. So I joined EXP directly to do agent attraction. I was already a top producer. I was at Keller for 8 months and I attracted 42 agents for profit share, which I realized that revenue share is better than profit share.
Yeah. 100%.
Keller takes revenue on the top. When I go up, I want to be Gary Keller.
Yeah.
So I switched to EXP so I can be Gary Keller because I take revenue, not profit.
Correct.
See?
Yes.
So I knew right away. So that was the reason why I joined EXP Agent Attraction. It took me, I like to learn the product that I'm selling. It's much easier to sell a product when you know it. You can handle it like your hand, right? So I switched November 1st of 2018 and I started collecting revenue share March of 2019. So it took me November, December, January, February, March, so 5 months, really 4 months, because this agent in the 4th month actually had to close the deal to get paid in the 5th, right? So, well, actually even more, the 3rd month they had to join to close the transaction because it posted in our account a month after. So really in my 3rd month, I already had agents who were producing with me. Then I got paid in the 5th month. So ever since March of 2019, I've been collecting revenue shares.
Did you do any of the luncheons or anything like that, or is it mostly just social media? Yeah.
Yeah, I do everything social media. So even with lead generation for buyers and sellers, I've never called, I never door knocked, I never bought Zillow leads. I literally built everything when they called me. So I didn't change anything when I came over to the agent attraction side of things. I literally continued doing everything. I just changed my target audience. So where buyers and sellers were my target audience for the next real estate transactions, agents became my target audience for the agent attraction side of my. So instead of talking to my buyers and sellers, I was mostly talking to agents in my videos, not calling them, talking to them in my videos. So I was providing information instead of the local market. I was providing information on which CRM program to use, how to set up your database, how to automate things, who to hire, like, things that agents would want to know. And the more I shared information to agents, the more I became the expert. The more you become the expert, people just raise their hand to jump right into the calendar. You just build the infrastructure, right? So then I built my landing page for Partner With Me, which I would just say, hey, just go to, just comment partner and, the link automatically be sent to you. Or if someone messaged me, I just shoot them the link over super quick and that was it.
Wow. So what was like the biggest hurdle as far as, because I mean, when you start, and you start dealing with agents, right? Or a team, I would say, you're not just dealing with like, hey, I'm going to get a team on there. There's going to be expectations of like, what's Gogo going to do for me? Or like this. What have you had any challenges with, just growing so much with agents, or have you been able to kind of nip that in the bud? Or tell me anything about that.
Well, you have to lay the foundation right? Like people need to know what they're getting, what they're getting into, not what they're getting from you, because I don't know anybody anything. Nobody gave me anything. I built everything.
Yes.
Right? Where I have bought the knowledge, or I paid for master classes, or I went to masterminds, or I got coaching, or nobody was like, hey, Gogo, here's my book of business, just copy and paste, right? Like I literally bought knowledge from others. And with that understanding, I don't owe anybody anything either. Right now, they do partner with me. I will give the shirt off of my back. We have weekly trainings. We do production every Wednesday, technology every Thursday, agent attraction every Friday. I give them my boot camps, like you name it, I give, right? But that's also why I receive in return. Now, but I don't want that giving to be expected.
Yeah.
I don't own you.
Yes. I one of the things that I love most about you is when you go there and you go to schedule, you go, if you're late, and we will cancel. And also, there's no rescheduling. Like it's like you.
I think it says something along the lines: if you're more than 5 minutes late, you will never talk to me again.
Yes.
And you literally have a blacklist. You can ask my assistant. You have a
blacklist.
Oh, absolutely.
I want a blacklist. Like I'm putting that on my list to start a blacklist.
Exactly. If you waste my time, that means you have zero respect for me. If you have zero respect for me, then why on earth would I give you a second bullet because you missed me the first time?
Yeah.
We do not need to partner. Like if you have zero respect for me, why are you even in my calendar?
Yeah.
We do not need to partner. We
wasting time. You could have had somebody else in that spot too. Exactly. You know, you're wasting everybody else's time too. And so I love that because I think, you know, we're just because you're trying to build a business of agents that doesn't mean you have to be a doormat to try to be like, no. And I think that's what I think I love about you the most is that you're not like that. And I know somebody's like, oh, whenever, yeah, we'll reschedule, you know, not a big deal. And you're like, no. You're saying a lot about you when you do that.
You just
you know, correct. Yeah. And I love that. So, and I'm like, well, I remember when we were starting boot camp, we read that. I was like, okay, well, let's be early. Like, let's make sure our everything's set up correctly. We don't want to be a mistake technologically.
I don't do if they have to reschedule because life happens. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But then be respectful. As soon as something comes up and I'm like, oh shoot, it's 11. I have a noon and I can't make the noon. It's 11:36. I would literally be texting right now. I am so sorry. We have a noon. It is 24 minutes from now. I'm not going to be able to make it. Whatever came up, can I please reschedule? But not 2 hours after. Like I literally have right now a news magazine article in Hungary. They didn't show up because something happened on their end. You're done. You will never interview me.
I love that. But that's boundaries though, right? And people, you have to set those and you sounds like you do it in your life also, where it's like you have your family and me and Jen always say is like, it's not like, well, you have to have a successful business and you have, or family, like you have to choose. Like you can have both. If you set the boundaries of saying like at 6 o'clock, like it's family time for me. If I can't crush it from 9 to 6, like I'm doing something wrong and I need to check my productivity and I'm not scheduling correctly. And so, do you have boundaries that you set?
Oh, absolutely.
Do you have like a schedule that you have every day, or is it like you set it for the month? Like what is your scheduling system?
I'm so scheduled. So I live by my calendar. So I work Monday to Wednesday. Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. I have taken that off for the rest of my life. I did that last year or the year before last. I made the decision a year before last in May. Then I'm never going to work another Thursday and Friday. So I'm going to have extended weekend for the rest of my life. And it took me, my very first Thursday was in November. So I made the decision in May. And my very first Thursday off was in November because I was so scheduled already. I was like 6 months out scheduled. So, and I don't cancel on people. So if someone gave me, I look at someone's time. So if someone gives you an hour of their time, it's an hour of their life.
Yeah.
That is like their presence, as we call it, right? Is their present to you, right? So I don't want to reschedule because I don't want people to reschedule on me. So I don't do things that I don't want. In my mind, I understand how the universe works. You get what you get. So if I start canceling on people, then people start canceling on me. It's really just super simple. Life is super simple, guys. Don't do what you don't want to be done to you. Oprah says it's best. Anything you try to do to me, it's already done to you.
Man, at least I would have stole that. I wouldn't even said Oprah said it. That's great.
Well, I learned it from Oprah, so I have to give Oprah credit.
Yeah, you give Oprah credit.
The third rule of life or something like that. Third rule of motion, I think it is. Let me Google it so we can be exact. But
yeah,
Oprah third rule of motion, I think it is. So for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. Mm-hmm. So pretty much anything you try to do to me, it's already done to you.
Yeah. So you're taking Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday off. What do you do in your free time? What's like your guys'
Well, I'm very business oriented. My brain always works. I can't really just shut it down. I'm always built. Always have another great idea, right? So, but Thursday and Friday allows me to like kind of think on that, or think if I want to do it or not, or if I do want to do it, that's my research time. I research on people, on that, or I read a book, or I go to an event, or so that's kind of like my time to work on my business, or to like go on vacation if I feel like it, or sit by the pool and listen to music and drink a mimosa. Whatever that I feel like doing is what I'm doing on those days.
And so, yeah, that gives you, I think that's great for you to have that time to, you're working on your business or you're working in your business. And if you're working in your business all the time, not working on your business, and it becomes, so you got to be able to manage that. So do you have any other projects that you're I'm scared to ask that if you are, I'm really scared. This list is getting long.
I have so many. So I do public speaking too, right? So a lot of times I travel, so they have to work around my schedule a lot when I'm traveling, right? I do a lot of online coaching. Like today, I have a massive social media, a massive class today in Go Get On webinars. So I started a membership-based area where I was like, okay, I want to help everyone. I started having lenders and title companies, my friends with a Kindle shop and a dog walking business, right? Reaching out to me with marketing needs or businesses or financial, like just pretty much anything that I know. So then I started Go Get On webinars with the idea that I will just teach everything that I learn, right? Because I felt like one day it dawned on me all of the information that I have to learn through the years. I have to go to so many different sources. I had to go here and then there and then here and then there and then events and masterminds and books and YouTube and end of Google. And so I was like, there has to be a place where you can just put an entrepreneurial college together. So that's Go Get On webinars. And so that's my newest baby. That's like my passion. I want to help as many people take themselves to multi-millionaires if that's what they want to do. And then I do retreats and yes, we don't have time to talk about every great idea that I get.
Wow. So I think one thing that I saw was like, oh my gosh, what is, and it was beaches.
Oh, beach business
and millions. Yeah, million. So like, what is that? What is your retreats like?
Yeah, so
it's a small group though. It's a small group. It's like 20 people.
Yep, very small group. So BBM started Beach Business and Millions. I can't wait to call it BBB. So that started with the idea that everything I do is always in massive settings, right? Like when I go speak, is 9,000 people in the room. When I do a class, it's 300, 400, 500 people in the room. So it's like I get to form relationship, but not really. Like they don't actually we don't get to do mastermind on the beach. We don't get to do dinner and break bread. We don't get to just ask many questions that you want and talk on a personal level, like those kind of things, right? So I was like, I wanted that, like, what is the word I'm looking for? That like real relationship, right? Like
personal touch,
the human, right? Yeah. And well, we bought a condo on the beach. And so everything that I do is twofold. It's a financial decision, but it's also something that I want to do. So when I decided that I wanted to do this in-person events, I said, where we would have to rent a place. Why would I rent from somebody else? Why would I just get my own on the beach and then use it for events and then let the events pay for the condo? And then I'm having best of both worlds, right? You can have it all, Travis.
You can have it all. That's what I'm titling. That's what I'm titling this whole podcast is you can have it all. That's it. That's it.
You can have it. So I wanted a condo. I wanted to have, so when we were looking for condos, I knew I want an open floor plan because I want to be able to fit 20 people into a room. And I need a chef, a videographer, my assistant, and my husband. So 24. Right? So we got this condo, open floor plan, balcony, living room, little dining area, kitchen area. So guess how many people it sits?
20.
24.
24. Oh.
Literally designed to everybody have a bunk space to sit down. So we did that. Then I built a website, Gogo's Retreats. And we did my very first retreat. So it was twofold. It was a huge success. We sold it out in 2 days. All 20 spots were taken in 2 days. And also my condo was paid for a year.
I mean, if anybody could take anything out of this is you can have it all. Don't put limitations on yourself. The only limits that you put on yourself are the ones that you do. Like there's no limitations. And I think you coming from where you came from and just like coming from a whole other country, knowing nobody, figuring it out, not in a, oh my gosh, I had so much success, but is I will have success. And you just keep going and going and going. Which that's why I thought called Gogo. I thought you. What's that?
I'll correct you there, and I wouldn't say I will have success because then you're putting it into the future.
I am success. I'm successful right now in the present. If everything, I'm successful. But I always thought they called you Gogo because you just go. I literally thought that.
I think it is a fitting name, right? it is a fitting name. It's my personality, but no, my nickname. So my real name is Gyongver, which is Gyongyver. Nobody can say that. My nickname was home was Gyugyu, which is Gyo. Nobody can say that. So out of Gyugyu became Gogo. So my host parents came as an au pair. My host parents asked me if I would like to be called Gogo because they couldn't pronounce Gyongver or Gyugyu. So so that's how Gogo started.
But it's funny how the universe works that way, though. Of like, that's what I thought. I was like, I'm like, oh, she's just going. She's she's just a go-go. Like that's what she does. Or I thought you took your name off the band, the Go-Go's.
Yeah. I didn't know anything about the go-go dancers for probably years after I was rocking the go-go name, right? And then people were like, "Oh, are you a dancer?" Or whatever. I was like, "No, what do you mean?" Right? And then I looked at my husband. I'm like, "Who are the go-go dancers?" Like, you never heard of them? And we were like, "No." They didn't make it to Romania. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, I'm sure. So I really appreciate you being here. You are honestly just always a light in the room too, and your just energy I'm pumped now. I'm going to go try to see what I can do the rest of the day. And I got to try to keep up with Coco. But I'm going through this list, and I know there's always going to be more, but I just love your heart, though, also, is that, you could stop and you could say, hey, listen, I'm the social media queen. I'm here and I have these boot camps. I have all these things and look at me go. But I love that you stop and you say, hey, listen, I want to have this personal touch. I want to have this of where, we can get caught up. People can get caught up in the limelight. People can be like, and I'm sure so many people will talk to you that know way more about you than you know about them. And so I love that your heart is like, hey, I want to get to know these people, and you create a treat, and then you created a business around it also, which is
because the bigger you get, the bigger the distance get, right? Like I can't tell you how weird it is. Like I'll go to events, I'll be the keynote speaker on the stage, right? Hundreds, if not thousands of people in the room. But then at dinner time, I'm sitting by myself at the bar and eating dinner because nobody's going to come up to you, right? They're like, ooh, I don't want to bother. Ooh, like, I don't really know. I kind of know. Right? Right? It's weird to be like surrounded by a ton of people, but then eating dinner by yourself.
Yeah.
It's just weird. And I'm a people person, right? Like, don't get me wrong. People also exhaust me too, but they also charge me. Right. So then if I don't get that, like I personally need that. Not only that I want to give that and I truly want to have relationship with people, but I need that too. I need that.
Yeah. I think that's your authenticity though. And I love that. That's like, I think that, you're so successful and, you're all over social media and people see you doing all these amazing things. But I think this is with anybody is like, you're human. And you just want a connection. And that's what like community is all about. Like we just want to connect with people. We all need that. Yeah. And so I love that though. You were just, you're very inspiring. And I know that you probably inspired some people that are listening into this that.
I hope so.
Oh, you always do. You inspire me. And I'm like, I feel like I'm doing pretty well. But now that I listen to you and I'm like, I could do more. Everyone's like, you're so busy. You're always doing these things. And I'm like, but I love what I do. And so people are like, aren't you exhausted? And yes, I am. It's fun. But man, I just love what I do. And when you're like, have that lease on life of like, I'm fighting time. I'm not following.
Like, ooh. So when I figure something out, I'm like, ooh, if I know how to do this, then what else can I do?
Yeah.
And if I can figure it out, then what else can I do?
It's just like learning. I just love learning things. And I think that's when I talk to these people, whether any entrepreneur that has these things, like little things, like just little tiny things like the blacklist, like as much as that's like minimal and you think, what's that a big deal to me? I think for some reason that stuck out that I'm like, why don't I have a blacklist? I'm not, because what that means is that I'm putting everybody on my list. Like I'm putting everybody's, because there's not a list that I'm blacking out for people not to. So what am I doing?
Plan there. Like in order to, put it this way, in order to request, respect, you have to give it to yourself first. If you don't respect yourself first enough to say, no, thank you, you will never talk to me again, then people will walk all over you and they will take advantage of you. People will do to you what you allow. So if you don't like something that's keep happening in your life, that's because you keep allowing it. You only have to nip it in the butt once. It will never happen again. So as Tony Robbins says, is raise your standard. That means your standard is down here, and that's what you have expected from people.
Yeah.
And that's what you allowed people eat you. They would never.
We got to call my therapist now. We got to talk. I got to talk to my therapist now because we got some issues I got to resolve.
You need a therapy session after talking to me. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh, no. But, what happened in the past that made me not make a blacklist is what I'm trying to figure out now.
Well, never is better. What did I say? Better late than never.
Hey, I'll take it. As long as I'm as long as I'm standing, I can figure it out, So, I appreciate you coming on so much. We're going to have to do this again because I love just talking to you. It's you're enthusiastic and it makes me just want to go, who else can I get on here? So I'm trying to think of somebody else who I can get on here today because I'm like, man, I'm pumped now.
Anybody.
Doesn't matter.
We want to have. If you believe you can, you can. If you believe you can.
Alex Hormozi, if he's listening, I'm getting Alex Hormozi on here. I've already said this over and over to people. I was like, because I'm putting it in there. He's not going to come on here. He's already on this podcast. He just doesn't know it yet.
He's in your calendar.
He's in my calendar every day. He's not on my blacklist, just so he knows.
But you have to hit him up, though.
I'm blowing his Twitter up. Yeah. Well, I appreciate it. Everybody, Gogo Bethke. If you're not following her on social media, if you're not seeing what she's doing, you can go to gogobethke.com, right?
Yeah. Or go Gogo's Real Estate on most of the social media platforms.
Okay. Gogo Real Estate on probably all of them. She's not hard to find. I'll tell you. If you put Gogo Bethke in, you'll find everywhere she's at, for sure. I appreciate you joining me. And we will see you again later, guys.